All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special 100th episode of the TFTuesday Podcast. My name is Zil.
And I'm K-Libra. Now you know what the K stands for.
Hey, there we go.
I've been asked that question before, but this is the easy answer in case you don't ever listen to this episode. Also, how can this be the TF Tuesday? You know, because that's what that is usually.
Yeah, I know. And
we're usually like this.
I know.
Yeah,
we're like corporate.
We don't even look like those guys.
I know. We are not matching either of those, which I think is fucking hilarious. But you know, this is how it goes sometimes.
Whatever, but you people all like it when people change a bunch of different things, and here we are, completely different. I also did say that that if there was a furry version of me, I'd probably have like a knuckles sona, and it can't get much more blatant than this, right?
No, I think that's like the most blatant you can fucking get.
Yeah, exactly. Blatantly is sometimes just the way to go. Blatant Supports is also a show you can do on Patreon. You can support us. You can make us do shit like this.
Yeah,
it's fun. You know, we had a good time just being inside of an actual other space and just making something new for everybody. Transformation is about something new and different, or at least just going back to a comfort zone. I don't know. This could become a comfort zone. I don't know what you think.
It could, yeah. I mean, I really like how like the whole like thing works. It was definitely very interesting getting this all like set up. But honestly, shout out to Casually Noted, my friend Cass, who fucking showed me the ropes as to how to record. Yeah, like major props for that. And once I like dealt with 50 million potential issues, like then the recording was actually quite easy. So. I appreciate that.
For sure.
Yeah, I guess like to give context, obviously you are wearing a Knuckles avatar right now. I'm wearing an avatar that's actually a kind of remake of my fursuit character Equinox. So, we're in pretty comfortable forms, even if it's not exactly the one that people would be expecting, so...
Well, it is kind of expressed that you are meant to be partnered up with me like this, since your good friend decided to put a Knuckles silhouette on your vest.
I don't know if like people will be able to see it, but
No, they really can. But it's like it's on that side there of the jacket.
If I hold on,
it's pretty cool.
There we go. You can get like a full view of the outfit actually. So yeah,
there it is.
We've got Knuckles. Oh, there we go. I can't gesture properly. Other way around. Yes, there's Knuckles. And then on the back, we got our silhouette as well.
Look at that.
It's fucking great. And I don't know how much you can see, but on the arm we got change gear over here. It's cool. Again, this was all Casually Noted helping make an outfit. So again, big shout out to him.
Incredibly generous with your time and your effort.
Yeah, like much appreciated.
Just like our patrons.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's really cool to be in here. You can't really see this part at least of like the world that we're in, but we actually have a great view of the Chicago skyline behind us, which brings back warm MFF feels. And we're in like this nice, cool fucking studio that like, can like play stuff on screen and, looks pretty fucking chill. Honestly,
I got a serene view of the water over there. Yeah. And, so we both get to look at something different.
Exactly. Wonderful cool. Lake Michigan. And also the weather outside looks way fucking better than it has been in Toronto the past little while. So I wish I was there.
It's been pretty brutal.
It's fucking boiling. I think we got up to like...
But the pizza around here is good.
Yes, the pizza is amazing here. We've been sampling all of the local pizza. And I mean, you have a very high standard, so you're the person who's the perfect one to judge in terms of what actually is a good pie. So
I'm glad you feel that way. And that is, I think, bolstered by the fact that I said, let's go to Pizza Den, which is some podunk fucking place in Brooklyn on 18th Avenue. and between 86th and 85th.
Mhm.
And that place serves great pizza, and they're open until like 2, 3 a.m. And I was like, yeah, you tell me. It was fucking awesome, wasn't
Fucking
it?
great. Honestly, I was surprised by like how good it was in the sense of like I'm used to Canadian pizza, which is absolute dog shit. So the fact that I actually got to have like real fucking pizza was like fucking like blew my mind. And I mean, as it turns out, as we've seen in Toronto, there is actually real pizza in Toronto. It's just it's none of the chains. Like you actually have to go to like, you know, an actual fucking pizza place to get decent fucking pizza.
Yes, yes, you do. You have to be able to sit there and just like talk to the people. Which actually, no, that was the thing that that I said that would be great to do. So like, come with me, and you'll see how chill it can be in just like a pizza place with just the guys behind the counter.
And it was.
And that's what we got.
We had a real authentic conversation with a real authentic Brooklyner. So, you know.
That's right. And it felt really good to be home at that rate. Yeah. But, you know, but right now I'm not home. I'm in the studio for what it is now. Who knows what this could become in the future?
Well, you never know. Maybe we'd switch it up. Maybe this will be a recurring thing. I mean, I think one of the things that we were kind of talking about, especially, you know, doing something like this for the 100th episode is like, you know, there's a lot of potential, I think, that we have already explored within doing the podcast. And that also means that there's a lot more that can still be done and like experimented with. And everyone loves a good change, right? So, you know, maybe we'll continue to switch it up.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be really cool if we were able to just nail down a studio that's more us. I mean, I have some ideas even for a different logo.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm listening. I'm all
Yes, I do. No, I was just thinking of something in the shower. I don't know if they want to hear that kind of shop talk or anything like that, or if they just want to see something.
Well, I mean, I think we're peeling the layer back a little bit in terms of like how the sausage is made here. So, I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
In a way, I mean, I remember when this first started, it was very humble. Let's say.
Yeah.
It was very humble. So it's like I wanted to make sure that this would have a real identity. So between, you know, myself who had myself who wanted something different, Pessimist who we had on the previous episode, she recommended the kind of layout that we should have, and I said I wanted something that was kind of like Space Ghost Coast to Coast. which is where this whole like screen and sitting setup comes from. And and then I got helped out. I was trying to draw it. It was tough. I was able to figure out a background and you know, all the other stuff. The drawing of the characters came down to myself sketching them and Honey Bear polishing them off and making them look wonderful, as you've all been admiring for a very long time now.
Very much.
So. Yeah. And I feel like when we were able to finally get that, the show was starting to have a real identity, a real solid thing. This made me feel like we were actually getting serious about it for the first time, you know? Yeah. And I liked the prospect of what this could be with other podcasts that I've seen. Some people choose to be on camera talking to each other, you know, in different corners of the screen. You got... Moist Critical Charlie, Penguins, whatever. His podcast has been his friends on screen or has just been silhouettes of all their faces, and each one kind of like pops whenever they're talking, stuff like that. And I just wanted to see this actually evolve and not just be a static, static image. I wanted to liven it up. I wanted to be able to share things like with the Believe It or Not channel, which I also plugged last episode. They do a podcast too, but they also like to do their podcast with just both of them talking to each other on camera.
Right.
So, and between that and, you know, Jim Cornette's podcast, I've listened to ones that I think are really great. And, you know, thanks to all those and the help that you know, that we've gotten, we've been able to start, and I felt really good about this, and I still do. But we can try so many other things.
Oh, absolutely,
and keep this interesting.
Yeah, and I think one of the really fun things that we've kind of done with the podcast is the fact that, you know, you obviously have had a background in listening to more like culture / people just like shooting the shit kind of like stuff. And my podcast that I kind of like came up on were a lot of like news-based interview shows. So we've kind of had a really interesting like meshing of the two in terms of at least the style of the podcast that I think we put out from like a conversational perspective, and also just broadly speaking, thinking about how we kind of intellectualize and approach topics. So I think that's been really interesting to see. And like you said, like I think that really started to come into its own when like we had the like logo and like image refresh in season 3, and like you came on a more dedicated basis and stuff. Like it's been really interesting to see it evolve from where it started to where it is right now, and you know, coming to you from VR chat. So
yeah, and that's been one of the really cool things about this, and even just getting to do this in person at FE, you know, with a modest but very how do I put it? I really like the audience. You know, I can imagine like a room like filled like with people, like 50, 60 people. We had like what, 20, 30 or something like that?
30 people at FE, yeah.
30 people, and that felt really good. It felt really good to be able to see others and you know, and engage them and make eye contact with them, which is funny because now I get to make eye contact with you.
Yeah. There you go.
It's a really good feeling, and if anything, I think VR also gives a bit of a taste of that. You know?
I think it does. Honestly, the live episodes are something that, like, first of all, I was like so excited to do the first time around, and also was incredibly fucking nervous because I'd never done anything like that at a furry convention. I've spoken publicly in like other contexts, but not like that. And it was almost like an element of, you know, a dose of my own medicine of like, oh, you've been talking about how like people should feel comfortable talking about these things. Well, now do it in public with no one else talking at you in front of a crowd for like an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, fuck, what did I sign myself up to? But once I got going, you know, like it was really cool. And like the first time I got to do it at MFF with Toledo, like, I mean, that was such a fun experience, and we had 70 people there, and it was like, okay, I definitely feel like this is something I can keep doing. And even like when we got to do it at Anthrocon last year with Angerboda and ABCD, I mean, we had a whole lecture hall with 150 people in it, and like that one was almost the most intimidating in terms of like, wow, I have a lot of people to disappoint kind of vibe, but and like, you know, they're sitting in a fucking lecture hall format, but we had a good time. And I think that, like you're kind of alluding to, like that live element of like interacting with the audience and interacting with like, you know, their vibes and stuff is something that I am so thankful we've gotten to do, and like especially gotten to do together at FE. And, you know, I want to just continue to do that. I mean, and, you know, not to, I guess, like, surprise, I'm at least going to be at Anthrocon again, so we'll have some sort of, you know, episode from there. But I just really relish that kind of opportunity, and I'm glad that like we've gone lucky enough to do it as many times as we have.
Yeah, and I really would like to try it again. I really, really do. I do want to see what a bigger crowd is like. Hey, for those who either like missed it or if I haven't mentioned it, I trained at Gleason's gym for a little while to be a wrestler, a professional wrestler, the fake kind. Please don't give me any shit about that. I will always fight you on why it's in such bad taste to just go with the whole like, oh, it's fake thing. I was training there, and I remember when I actually was a part of one show of independent wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I participated in a battle royale.
Okay.
All right. I was eliminated by my ex-best friend, and I got to act like I was really pissed off about it. Right. But I got to get flipped over the top rope.
Oh.
That was really cool.
That is
like fucking
cool.
Backwards. Yeah, like, I don't know. It felt really, really okay. I thought I'd be more scared, especially since I had to referee like 2 or 3 matches. And by the way, being a referee in a wrestling match is physically fucking demanding. Those guys cannot be out of shape. You got to keep up with everyone and everything, and you got to pay attention. It doesn't matter if it's fake. You still have to be in on what's going on.
Oh, you have to be on top of
and
your
be
shit.
An enforcer.
Like you're playing a role, right? So, like, you know.
Yeah. So So the reason I'm even talking about all this is I like being in front of a crowd. I felt good after that.
Mm.
I don't remember the last time I really had stage fright, which I guess is good.
That is
you
good.
know?
I think that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I've never had stage fright or been like whatever, but I think it's something that one just, I don't know, it didn't become a concern of mine after a while. Maybe like after like a few class presentations or something like that, and I never really thought about it. When you said that there are a lot of people for you to disappoint, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about that at all. My worry was whether anybody would show up at all.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a good crowd.
We did, yeah.
I was worried nobody would show up, and he's worried that he had too many people disappoint.
Well, I mean, as I said in the last episode, I mean, I got to deal with my people-pleasing anxiety sometimes. So I'm like, shit, what if I don't do well? Uh-oh. But it's fine. I'm pretty good once we get to start chatting, so it's whatever.
When I had a wrestler like Steve Austin as like my favorite, I think the big part of me wants to be able to be in front of a bunch of people and say, fuck you, I'm going to be the best, and and I'm going to show you, and you can shut your mouth and just watch, and between that and Carlin, and I think I began to really enjoy the idea of having many eyes on me and just me being the center of attention for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, as I've alluded to before, I mean, I have a background in drama and improv and also, student level politics, but it was just something.
And I argue with people, and I wanted to wrestle.
Yeah,
it's like see two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. At the end of the day, we're just the same. We're just coming at it from the same angle. Clearly, I mean, just slightly different nuances.
Yeah, I love it.
It's great.
I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, 100 episodes. It is kind of mind-boggling, and also like the time frame we've covered it in. I mean, we've done 100 episodes, and if you look back to when we started, our first episode came out in December of, what was it, 2021, I think. So like we've only been doing this for 2.5 years, and we've hit 100 episodes, which again, absolutely mind-boggling. Partially because I am clearly insane and doing this on a weekly basis, or at least I started that, and then you were like, okay, I'm the same level of insane. Let's fucking do that shit together. So, but honestly, like...
Look, I talked the big game. I talked a really big game, and I said I wanted to see things come out of this.
That's true. You did.
So here I am.
So here you are. I appreciate you joining me on this insane fucking adventure.
I appreciate you for onboarding me into it. You could have insisted to do it on your own, or like you have some kind of vision or some shit. But no, instead you said, you'll take the help, you'll let me experiment and stuff like that. And this could be the beginning of like another new phase of things.
Yeah. And honestly, like, one of the most interesting things that came out of you, like, directly experimenting with the podcast was the episode we did on Saberspark, because that was the first episode with actual video editing on YouTube, and it fucking got us nominated for an Ursa Major Award. So, like, I mean, clearly taking big swings is something that gets rewarded.
Yeah, especially since that episode, I feel, really cements that we have things to say. Like we've talked about like community stuff and whatever with Bubba and everything, and FA's terms of service, and just like stuff on like a more interpersonal scale. But the Saberspark thing was something that people in our circle, Patreon and friends and everything, and just general contacts were saying, oh, look, there's this video and you guys need to see it, or did you watch it yet? And we were there together when we were getting exposed to it, and it's like, let's do this.
Yeah, we
thought about it for a day or so.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were both there when we were collectively losing our shit the first time watching it. I think we had to like pause it multiple times because one of us would be like, no, I'm sorry, we need to stop the fucking video because I need to say my piece about this. This is like blah blah blah. And like you said, like we sat on it for a day and we were like, no, actually, like we've done episodes before where we talk about the things that like, you know, that are happening in the community or like things that we think are of importance. And, you know, not everyone is going to agree because this is a diverse community with a lot of different viewpoints. And honestly, I welcome that conversation. But that also means that we have to actually start
welcome people to fight me so that they think that their good ideas are any good and they're not.
That too.
I can run a promo in VR. On all you motherfuckers. Actually, no, but it's funny, though, because even then, like, when we've had things to say, people would, like, tweet about the podcast, and they just, like, have... I don't know, man. You can say things to us if you want.
Yeah.
Namely to me. People don't... People... Actually, no, the funny thing is that people have problems with things I say, but they take it out on him. They take it out on you,
yeah, I guess that's,
and I think that's bullshit.
I mean, once again, when this is the double-edged sword of being the one who's like the people pleasing. It's like, well, people are then going to come to me because they're like, oh, I'm scared of Libra, and it's like, okay, like, but you could also talk to Libra.
Yeah, I know. I'm very rude. I remember.
Yes,
I'm a very rude person.
Very rude person. But I guess to like back to my point, like I think it's really good that we can use this platform to also start conversations because I think sometimes within the, you know, the fandom, the community, what have you, like we think certain things and we like talk about them in our little like side chats or like, you know, our little like areas of corners of the internet, but we're not actually like making it a conversation that anyone can join. And again, people have definitely had strong opinions about some of the things that we've said, but I appreciate that we're able to have those conversations in the first place. And without the podcast, I don't think that would necessarily be the case.
Yes. So, another reason that the podcast is important to me and important to see actually happen was because, first of all, many people remember Anger Bonus podcast.
Yeah, Double Healing.
And I found it very interesting because that was the first time that I was aware that anybody was even trying that, you know. And but you know, it didn't last very long, which is fine. But then there was, you know, somebody else who wanted to try it, and I was a part of that too. That's a fun story.
Yeah. I really do think Double Helix set the groundwork for all the podcasts that came afterwards, honestly. Like, I don't think any of the other ones would be here.
Yes, I have to say that if it wasn't for that one, it wouldn't have sparked my interest and involvement in any of this. Because the other thing was, like, I remember when, listen, for those who aren't already aware, Pessimist is an extremely close friend of mine, so I'm going to keep bringing her up in a lot of things. Yeah. But when I remember talking to her about the podcast in a number of ways, and she even said that she doesn't understand how you could possibly get that many conversations out of just the topic of TF, and I said, no. We can split hairs, we can dig, we can revisit ideas, we can do all kinds of things. We can keep talking about this for a really long time.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that we've done 100 of these, well, not we, I have done some of them, but the fact that there have been 100 episodes of all this, and there's been something new to talk about, or, you know, something to tread more ground on, I think says a ton about this, and it makes it possible for this to be an actual, like, part of a community, you know. Like Guppy said in our server, a very fantastic artist who is in our exclusive Patreon server, you know, she made very good points about how there can be a very distinct community around this very particular thing. Because you can form a community around anything, but there is a virtual one. There is grounds for a virtual one.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the really nice things about the format that we've kind of pursued with it is the ability to have so many different guests on. Like, genuinely, one of the things that I also think lends itself to having so many episodes is the fact that, not every time, but most episodes, we have someone who's coming to share their experiences, how they've interacted with the fandom, what their experiences have been like, the kind of topics that they want to explore. And even if we have like topics that come up more than once, like everyone has a unique perspective on it. So you're never going to have the same conversation about any single TF trope or species or type of change or like scenarios or like anything. Like it's always going to be varied. And like, frankly, I think like the other big like contributor to this podcast being so successful is the fact that we've had so many artists and writers and other creatives who have generously donated their time to come talk to us. And like, I'm so incredibly grateful for every person who has come on the podcast and shared their perspectives. I know many of them were like super nervous about it the first time, or like just in general to come on and actually like speak audibly. And I hope at least that the continued experiences that they had also feeds back into the listeners in terms of also being comfortable and like talking about this stuff,
Yes, and also the idea of this being something to really grow came from a lot of conversations I've had in my own server.
Oh yeah,
because in my server I would and you've been a part of a number of those calls where we would discuss the community things and stuff we think is wrong or stuff we really like or stuff we want to see more of, and a lot of us don't feel represented or understood even when it comes to
the understood is a huge
when it
part
comes
of
to certain things. Yeah. And not only, and then also not just being misunderstood, but also the idea that there isn't an opportunity to be understood or discuss things.
Oh yeah, like that.
Now,
I feel like that's so rare sometimes. Like people outside of like, again, going to a convention or like having some sort of like 2 or 3 local friends, like you don't even like get that opportunity to be understood at a deep level because we're all much more complex than whatever the internet can like ultimately convey. And even like, obviously even with the podcast, there's still nuances that aren't going to be captured, but like at least that's a step closer. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. We can at least respond to something, and even if you don't like it, you're actually starting to think about something. If you don't like it, you're being challenged, and if you do like it, then maybe you're being enriched. Actually, it's all enriching. Depending on how you want to take it. It's just
agree.
Really cool.
Yeah. I think that every time, we have some sort of perspective on that challenges us in some way, we are also opening our minds. Like I say it at the end of every fucking episode, but like I do truly mean it. Like I want people to keep open minds about all this stuff because at the end of the day, like this is a community that has a lot of like queer and trans people and other folks who do not feel like they fit into society because it hasn't been designed with us in mind. And we are doing something that is fundamentally challenging what our notion is of like normality. And so when it comes to having different people on, like, of course, you're going to have different strokes of non-normality that may not mesh with yours. But at the very least, you're exposing yourself to that and allowing yourself to kind of breathe it in, for lack of a better term. And I think that's important.
Yeah, and also making this media, and I've said this before, and I want to say it even more, to share it with your normie friends, because especially your friends, I don't think it's healthy sometimes to have to hide your interests. This doesn't mean you should be jerking off in front of all of them or flicking beans with them in public or something like that. But what I am saying is that it's nice to not have to just hide your screen every single time. Like, hold on a second. That's not good for somebody that you trust.
No, it's not. And I understand why people are reticent to like share it around. I mean, like, it's not the same, but like even just like people like admitting they're like furries or whatever, that is like its own like kettle of like whatever the fuck. So like I get why people are reticent to do it, but at the same time, if it is someone that like is super important to you, and this is a super important of your life, like I'm not saying it's if it's a casual thing, whatever, but if it's an important thing in your life, like that's something you should feel like you can be open about. And as I think we've kind of alluded to as well, there's been multiple times in both of our lives where we've talked about it with people who we cared about, and they were just like, okay, and that was it. Like, it wasn't a big deal. Obviously, there's some people you wouldn't tell, but like, by and large, it's just it's a thing you're interested in. It's an interest just like any other.
Exactly. And also having this up on the internet means that people can stumble across it, and, you know, we'll see what kind of people they are, or maybe they get to understand that people that are interested in this stuff aren't like total freaks and fucking weirdos and people to be ostracized or abused. You know, no need to burn crosses on our lawns and all that shit.
Yeah, geez. Oh man.
TFers go home.
So, well, now I'm curious to ask. So we've like talked a little bit about like some of the stuff that we've gotten to do so far. Are there any like particular experiences from the past however many episodes that stand out in your mind as being something that maybe you wouldn't have had a chance to like express or do or have a conversation about outside of like the live episodes?
So I feel like doing this show has allowed me to discover certain artists like are really thoughtful in very inviting ways, because there are people who can overthink a subject, or there are people who can think a lot about it, but they're not conversational about it. Right. Instead, it's very like it's like matter of fact, as in they've thought about this for so long that this is just how it works. Right. This is how it's meant to work. You know, why even talk about it? This is how I like it. But you know, there's been a lot of room to explore things with people that I otherwise would have never been in touch with, who gave me a lot of great insights on just the things that I care about too. Angela Quinton, you know, who was absolutely like a fantastic guest, and I keep bringing her up because I didn't really hear too much about her before, but you know, I got to read the one short story, and I felt this was, you know, something that made me feel a lot, and that I was into, and that made me care. And now, you know, speaking with her, I was just like, oh, so this is where your mind is at with these things. And even with the things that we don't agree with, she was definitely open to just be like, oh, I never saw it that way. And that kind of exchange is really what's valuable to me, that we don't really get to have without this platform. Without this platform, I wouldn't have the chance to speak with Lemon Fonts, who, you know, the one thing that sticks with me from him is how he said that you could flub the art, but you can't flub the writing. And I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb, you know?
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of very visually interesting things that just completely lose my interest and just make me feel like I wasted my time. And then like TF Central, who has been on several times, and they have been very interesting to talk to, you know, beyond like the quirky pony art and stuff like that. There's more. There's so much more. And there's so much more to be surprised about and just come away different with. And that's the cool stuff. And that's just over the internet, over voice calls, you know. Yeah. That alone. Never mind actually being able to like speak to people and speak in front of people and things like that. And you know, I mean, you can tell people that even you've gotten a few messages here and there how you've helped them with themselves, their identity, things like that, or just made them feel reassured.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the thing that will always like stand out in my mind in terms of like the impact I think the podcast has had. You know, every so often I'll get like a note or an email or a message or what have you from someone being like, hey, you know, like I just wanted to let you know that like your podcast helped me do X, Y, Z. And, you know, I maybe wouldn't have done that without the podcast, or I wouldn't have felt like I could, or even just like it made me feel more comfortable with myself. And like those are worth their weight in gold. Like I cannot express how like meaningful that is to hear that, you know, something that we're just kind of doing as a community project is having that kind of an impact for people. Even like, and like even recently, like past episode, like someone was like, oh yeah, this past episode, like because of what your guest said, I was able to figure out my Sona. Like that's like, my God, like that's incredible.
That's neat.
Shout out to Toledo for that.
Yeah.
Like, those kinds of conversations, like the fact that they can help people, I think is what matters the most to me. Because again, like, yes, I enjoy getting to shoot the shit with you. I think we have a good time talking. I think we say interesting things. We challenge you in unique ways. But the best thing that I can think of coming out of this is that people like have like a sense of like, oh, I am seen, or oh, I feel like, someone is like giving voice to something, or at the very least, wow, that person like is comfortable with that. I can be comfortable with the things I'm into because I'm not even like, that far on the scale of like esoteric TF. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot that can be like taken away from it. And the fact that some people have not only had that experience, but even then like told us, I mean, that means the world to me. So.
Yeah, and we can't speak for everybody, and we won't try. But what I can say is we do give some voices to some of the voiceless.
Yeah.
And that's really good. And I've noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
There's been plenty of, like the controversial stuff shows, yeah, people giving flack, but we do have to remember, and I think everybody that listens to us, whether you like us or not, mm-hmm. you have to acknowledge the people who are actually agreeing with us. Yeah. Because that's saying something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, like just to think about it, like our last episode, I know like people felt certain ways about it, and like, fair enough. We had people who both agreed and disagreed, and I'm glad that both of them felt comfortable enough to express that, because again, it's like we're starting a conversation. I don't know where the conversation's going to end. It once it is on the internet, it is out of our fucking hands. It will go wherever it goes. But the fact that it's even going
until
anywhere,
we respond to it in a future episode, because that should be a thing. I mean, why not? If everything just evolves, right? Yeah, like, hey, remember we were talking about this? It's time to get back to it.
Yeah, well, that's true. We haven't done a sequel episode before, so that's like fair point.
No, we haven't, but it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen where like maybe our views change, or maybe there's an update. I do kind of like the idea of being a bit of like a community news person. And even though we've had our first sponsor, which was very nice to have, that is also spreading the word. That is a new thing. Current events matter. That's part of community. Community means keeping the others who are involved abreast of the situation, and sometimes even informed.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we love bringing information to people. And I mean, like, with Duck's IODM project, like that was really cool to like have someone be like, hey, can you like shout us out and like we'll sponsor your episode? Like, mind blowing to me. Like, I mean, the fact even like when I just started the Patreon, like, again, I need to like emphasize it. Like, our patrons are all amazing. We love them to death. I can't believe we have so many that have like shown up and been like, wow, we love your stuff so much, we'll actually give you a few bucks a month. Like that, everyone who has done that to us is like, it means the world, and it keeps us going, honestly, because God knows how many hours we've put into working on this podcast. If I thought about the time, like I remember one time I looked up like what the like collective runtime is of all of the episodes together, and it was like in the days. So like that plus all the time that goes into all the other shit, like I don't even want to think about how much time we have put into this, but it's been time well worth it. And the patrons help make it continue too. So,
Yeah, to get something for the effort really helps. And that's why every little bit of support that comes our way is always greatly appreciated, and why we intend to keep trying new things like this.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And that is part of the sense of community, is like helping each other with stuff. And I hope that our involvement, for instance, with IODM will help it out at least a little bit, because that's part of the point of this. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
The other thing I really the other thing I really enjoyed is how, thanks to all these episodes, you have exposed me to a bunch of different ideas and stuff that either refine my own perspectives on things, open me up, or make me realize, no, I don't like that. It's been enriching in that respect too.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's the cool thing. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm just
no,
saying.
you're
Like
good.
one of the things I like is you don't agree with me on everything, so
No.
now I get to have an interesting time with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I've definitely exposed people to things that maybe they didn't think they would be into. So, I mean, you know, as pool toy Jesus, I take that duty very seriously, as you can tell. So, you know, very important.
Yep.
But yeah, and like the same with you as well. Like, you know, we've had like artists come on to the like podcast that I had never heard of, to be frank. And the fact that, you know, they were people that like you were familiar with, and then I got exposed to their stuff, and that like changed my perspective on like art as well. Like that, I think again is just so fucking cool. And it also like speaks to how diverse the interest in TF is. Like I think a lot of people, when you start to get into TF and you're exposed to like certain things, like you think about specifically, oh, you know, TF is this or TF is that. And really, that's just a small sliver of the pie. Like there is so much more in the world of TF that we don't even like realize until we actually start digging. And sometimes I think we don't always do the best job at digging. We have to wait for it to kind of come to us. And so, you know, to the fact that like both you and I have brought on people that like we weren't even aware of, like that's continuing to show like, you know, there's so much to dig here. There's so much to mine. There's so much more to talk about.
Yep. Yeah. And trust me, it's harder to dig these days when we can't even conceptualize something that may be a thing in the first place, on top of being funneled with algorithms, on top of social incest.
Yes, social incestuism, you know.
Yeah. There's plenty more to find. I keep looking, but I have more interest than just looking for more content. Yeah. So I get it when I get it. We both get it when we get it. But it's really amazing when we find something else or when we're shown something. Because I really enjoy being the guy who's like, here, look, I found this. And you're like, where the fuck? This is great. Where has it been all my life? I'm like, that's because it's new, or it's Japanese, or I found this one in this gallery who did it like this only this one time. That's so fun. It's so fun to be able to say, oh, Clown TF, I think that stuff is weird and kind of dumb and it makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, I got a good one. I got a good comic about that.
Yeah. And the comic is about so much more than even just a Clown TF. Like, it's about all these other things. It's like touching on the fact that like, oh, it's this thing that maybe we feel weird about, but like if you talk about it with people who understand, like, you know, you might have a good experience, you know, like it's about so much even more than just that. Like that's so fucking cool to me.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. It's either it's fun or enlightening, or sometimes it's just fucking sexy. And I like being the guy to be able to just show that stuff. It's very, very fun.
No, I agree.
And I like being able to expose all of you to that stuff too. You all need something else.
Yeah. And again, I think that loops back to the fact that, you know, there's so much more to continue to explore and talk about and all those good things.
I know every inch of Angel Island, and I need more, okay? I said at the end of Frontiers that I needed to get off my island and go be more like Sonic and just enjoy my fucking life. I can glide, I can climb, I can dig, I can punch the god out of people. So why should I just stick to my fucking little part? I'll be back. I love Angel Island.
Is the character TF starting?
Yes.
I mean, I've already TF'd, so, you know, here we are. I know.
Sonic! Right? I don't even know. Knuckles' voices have all been... They've been varied and shit like that. They've been very varied. Anyway.
Very varied.
Yeah. So now that you're a pool toy, I gotta say, that's a really good avatar. Because, like, between, like, the seam and everything like that... Just watch the hands, you know. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that I can have it.
Watch out with these.
Yes, I got to be very careful of that. You better not fucking pop me. I will be so upset. Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare. I can all I can do is smile as you're threatening me. It's not fair.
I'm just playing.
Unless.
But the cool thing is, if I punch you with the round part, you could go flying and just bounce all around the room.
That's true.
You'll be fine.
I'll be okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm a tough pool toy. I can handle it.
Yeah, you are. You'll bounce off the window because you won't be able to bounce through the window.
Yeah, well, I don't weigh much,
if the window was open, you'd be floating out in the ocean.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't do that to him. I haven't met an evil pool toy yet. They're out there, aren't they?
They are definitely out there. I promise you they're out there. And, I mean, the existence of pool toy Jesus implies the existence of pool toy Satan, right? So, I mean, obviously there's got to be a pool toy Satan somewhere. Yes, but you understand what I mean. Like, if we're talking about ontological
the evil
morality,
is within man. I have had to keep the Master Emerald away from man more than once.
Are we saying that the evil pool toy was the friends we made along the way the entire time? That's what it sounds like.
It's the enemies we made along the way.
I guess enemies. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, don't mistake that. Nice floppy nose.
Thank you. I'm very proud of it. Oh man. But yeah, I think the fact that also like the fact that I've also gone to like explore things on this podcast and like get a better understanding on my own interests was kind of like, you'd think like, oh, duh, of course that's something that happened. You did a fucking 100 episodes and talked to like all these people. But genuinely, I didn't think that my perspective would change as much as it has over the past 2.5 years that it has in terms of like transformation. I mean, again, like to loop it back, I was like, wow, someone showed me a Clown TF comic and I was like, damn, that's cool. Like, not something on my bingo card, but here we are. Some things haven't changed. Like, I still have certain opinions about American Werewolf in London and how everyone continues to hold it up as this like amazing thing. And I'm like, yeah, but like,
that's one thing that we do agree on.
Yeah. Like, again, I do, and I enjoy it. It's great. Interesting practical effects, whatever, but like it was never like, oh my god, pee hard because of this.
It's not the end of history with that.
No, it's not. So, and again, all the power to the many guests who have talked about how it impacted them. All the power to them. But I really felt like, oh my god, I must be really out to lunch because I'm the only person clearly who doesn't like get off to this. And it's like, no, actually, there's a number of us. I just didn't fucking know. So.
It's more like, yeah, I think that it's great. It's just, I want to see different things with that sort of effort. I don't want to, like, that's not just it. And what if you did that, but for this or whatever, just experiment. I want to see more things. I want to see different things, but don't worry. You're not the only one who felt out to lunch because I watched Pinocchio a bunch of times and I still don't fucking get it. I don't get it. And I don't know what kind of person it has to be, but I'm not that person. I don't get the Pinocchio thing. I just don't.
I genuinely do think it's the kind of thing where you had to see it at a young age, and then it just like imprinted on you.
I did see it at a young age.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was
then
like
I can't
5 years old. I had the fucking VHS. I played that shit over and over again because I didn't have cartoons that I could just pop on until Cartoon Network, and I watched Pinocchio over and over and over.
But are you telling me that you didn't see the guy lose his hands, and that didn't do anything to you? Like,
didn't do anything to me.
Okay, well, yeah.
No.
Hey, you're not the only one. To be clear, you're not the only one.
But the shadow was like, just show me the thing already.
Oh,
and I guess that was like the least important part of the entire movie for me anyway. But I'm just like, oh, okay.
Well,
what hit me is whatever that mystery movie was in Florida, whatever that was, that set the standard. Pinocchio. So Pinocchio, you were late to the party. I don't know, probably still wouldn't have stuck. Because like other things came along that I was really into, and those like really hit me hard. Yeah, like Parasite Eve or Species or man, there were like a few other things that I've seen, but like I can't think of any more shit. There's just been plenty.
So much, yeah. I mean, again, like that comes down to like, different things that we saw when we were younger impacted us in different ways. I mean, like, you know, we had a whole episode with Azil on Animorphs and like the impact that had on people. And I know there's definitely some people who are like, yeah, whatever.
Animorphs. I keep forgetting Animorphs because I started to feel like, oh, you know, I can't say that I like Animorphs because I didn't read more than like 4 of the books, and I only watched the TV show, you know. But yeah, Animorphs was a big deal for me too, as well as Blood and Chocolate because of the one scene in it. But then my partner Katina, she read the book after I told her about it, and I told her I remember fucking next to nothing except for the one part.
Yeah.
And then she said how it was a really fucking, I think sexist is a good way of putting it, book.
Yeah.
It's like a very fucked up relationship.
Yeah.
It was very, very sexist. Yeah, when she told me the parts and like the situation and she was reading it, she was like, man, this is really uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, fuck. Well, that went right over my little head. The only thing I remembered was the scene where the main character, who's this girl who is a werewolf, and she changes in front of her boyfriend, who she really trusts, and as a show of trust, she decides to transform in front of him, and he is completely horrified by this, and he's just like shuddering in a corner, and she's trying to make sure she's got all the demure body language, and she's like, look, I'm friendly, and trying to nuzzle, and keeping the tail between the legs, and keeping the head low, and he's just like, no, get away from me. And I just kept thinking, man, if I saw somebody change like that and they were going to be all cuddly with me, I think I'd feel pretty cool about it, or at least chill out. But this guy didn't. And that's what stuck with me about it. I think that's another reason that I started to feel like, you know, hey, you know, just because you're weird and fearsome doesn't mean that you can't be friends or something.
No, I completely agree. And I mean, there's so much to be said about like how those like first pieces of media formulate like or like help guide our taste later on. But I always also think about the fact that like so many people in the community influence our taste too. I mean, I got to, very, very, you know, tried to be chill about it. But the fact that we had Foxy on, for example, this season, I mean, that was someone who really guided my trajectory in terms of the things I was into and like even the art style I had at the very beginning and all that stuff. So the fact that, you know, those like single individuals can have those incredible impacts on like groups of people and also are willing to like spend time talking about it is just so incredible to me. And I'm always going to say this, but like the community things that helped guide people are always the most interesting to me, given that, you know, it's not a corporation. It's not like some famous person. It's just some person on the internet did something and we're still talking about it all these years later, be it IODM or like the stuff that Foxy's done. I mean, the stuff that Angerboda's done, like there's so much to be said about like these artists who have done so much over the years to, you know, put out the content that they wanted to see. And then that has impacted other people, you know? So.
Yep. That's why when you care about something, it'll show.
Yeah.
No matter what, it'll show. Yeah. Just like this.
Yeah. Just like this.
This here.
I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how much Lombaxes have impacted me. So I feel like I got to bring this boy out too. But
oh yeah,
I mean, you know, like it's affected me a lot too on that perspective. I honestly, my favorite thing about my fixation with Lombaxes is that if you go on FA and you look up like, you know, you can do like the browse function and you can do like TF and then by species, and now they have a bunch of like custom species so you can search in Lombax. I did that one time just for fun, and I'm looking down the list and I'm like, wow, like a solid like 1 out of 10 are just me. It's probably more than that actually, but like a solid 1 out of 10 is me, and I'm like, yes, I'm being the change that I want to see in the world. That's what I want. So, you know.
So I felt about frog transformation stuff for a little while. You couldn't really find any, and I was like, let me see who's made some. Oh, mostly me. Oh, shit.
And you do them well, so, you know.
I appreciate that. There's more coming.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd be switching into different avatars, too, but I don't really have a lot of stuff that's, like, hugely, like, me.
Well, that's
I do have a Kazuma avatar, but I don't identify with being him, but he is a great guy.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'll say is like there is a somewhat of an irony here that we're recording in VR chat, even though we have talked up formerly Neos, now Resonate a bajillion times. I'll say that, the setup for this was much easier to do. I know that both of us have a lot of avatars in Resonate that we could have potentially been going through. I just appreciate the fact that I have a few here, and also that we had, people who are willing to help us get set up and like understand how to fucking do this streaming shit. So again, just I feel like I should say I recognize the irony of doing this in VR chat after all the shit we've said about Resonate, but that's also why you're not switching into a bunch. Because I know you have more there.
That's fine. No, well, that's fine. But the other irony is I don't have a Knuckles avatar in Resonate at all.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
I can't find one, or at least I think I did, but it never got properly imported. I don't know. There's plenty to do. I have not been in VR very much until recently, because only recently did my headset and my hardware stop fighting as much. Yeah. It used to be like a 20-30 minute ordeal to try to get this thing to work, and now it's pretty easy peasy and I can just hop in, which is a really good sign for doing way more shit and enjoying way more things.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, we have this, but like I said, if we keep doing this, I would want something that's more us, and I'd like to see that happen, So we'll see where we go from here, especially if you guys like it. Tell us if you like it.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely
in the Patreon, in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you like this, and if you like this and we do more, you could subscribe, and then you could make sure that when we're doing this kind of stuff again.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Are you going to drink that?
Oh, I mean, I have.
Are you going to drink that?
Oh, okay, fine. You've taken it now.
Fine. Here you go. Fine.
Thank you. I love the little grabbables on this table. It's very, very amusing to me.
I know. That is another fun thing about this is little objects being something that we can actually interact with, and got some physics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, man. But yeah, I guess then maybe one of the, and we'll get to audience questions in a second, but one of the final questions I want to ask on this very auspicious 100th episode, what do you think the next 100 episodes are going to hold for us?
I think it's going to show us exactly how much we really want to keep doing this. I think by now, if we wanted to, we could say we did 100 episodes, we're out.
Yeah.
Come and break the record. And somebody could. Somebody probably would too.
I would hope they would.
But it's going to show us how much we really want to keep this going. And what exactly we can bring to the table for more when it comes to conversations and just, our perceptions, and keeping people informed about things that change. Yeah. Because this hasn't stayed the same. The community has changed over the years, with the structure of the internet having changed the way it has, and the way people like to go and navigate spaces, between sites like Twitter and Discord.
Yeah.
And FA. Those are the three big venues now. Before, it was me looking through web rings and, eventually stumbling on transfer and, and really then recognizing, oh, FA also has a presence. Well, why didn't I think of that? And now there's just, and now we're bringing this to YouTube, essentially.
Yeah, there's obviously always been people who are into TF and doing stuff on YouTube. Core Wolf comes to mind. He's been doing stuff related to TF on YouTube for a while, but this is definitely the first podcast that made it to YouTube, and also has a video component with fucking good video editing brought to you by Libra, because I don't fucking do the video editing.
Thank you.
No, I think it's important.
I'm trying from nothing in some few things.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going. I think that's what the next 100 are going to show. How much we really care about this. How much we think we could really do with this, and how many people will hopefully take notice and get something out of this. I like to provoke thought and conversation and argue sometimes, but I also like to entertain a bit, and it's nice to be entertaining. It's nice to be able to be somebody who can fill the air while you're doing something or just whatever, because both of us like to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, we absolutely do.
And I like to think that it's cool to be able to keep doing that for as long as possible. Like, what do you think it's going to show us next 100 episodes?
That is a great question. I mean, first of all, I think I'm going to continue to shoot high for ambition in terms of who we can get to come on the show. I think that especially when I started, all the way back in season 1, it was very much like, oh, we're going through our Rolodex of people that we kind of know, and we're starting like inward and moving outwards kind of thing. And it took a while for me to really feel comfortable doing the whole cold reaching out to someone and being like, hey, you might not even know what we're doing. You want to come on a podcast? And I think like it really took a few seasons for me to like feel more comfortable doing that and like, reaching out to people. So I think now I'm in a position where I'm like, okay, I've done this 100 times. Like, fuck it. If they say no, they say no. And trust me, we've had people who have said no for various reasons. Maybe they're not interested, or they're nervous about speaking audibly, or they feel like they wouldn't have anything to say, stuff like that. And that's always fine too. Like, no one is entitled to anyone's time. But that being said, I think, there is a level of like, oh, I would like to shoot for ambition of having so and so on. And I'm not saying I have like specific names in mind outside of maybe someday K. Applegate, but like, I think there's a lot of things that can be like done towards reaching out to people and seeing what they say. So I think being more or continuing to be ambitious with like who we can try to get on, I think is something I want to continue to do, and I hope to continue to do. I definitely agree on your point about, how much we want to do this, and like, like making sure we can keep doing that. And I joke about this. Mama didn't raise no quitter. So like, I'm stubborn as a mule and I want to keep going, but also like, maybe there will be a point where we're like, I think we're good. We can like rest our hats. But yeah, I think the next 100 will be like, yeah, how much do you want to continue to do this on a weekly basis? I think a lot, but whatever.
Yeah, so far it's looking good. If we had to keep doing this, if we thought we had to stick to a formula, I think it would drive me fucking crazy,
Yeah. I think the variedness is something that is just so important. And, to speak to something we said last time, like, we have to like listen to our creative urges and let that take us places, because if we don't, we'll feel like we're stagnating, and we don't want to stagnate. I don't think anyone wants anything to stagnate. So yeah,
unlike the female urges or the male urges,
Oh, Jesus Christ. See, now I'm in an avatar where my hand is big enough to cover my face, so now I can be like, fuck.
Yeah, those urges, but the creative ones are very, very nice.
We are joking about that. That is sarcasm, in case no one got that part. But
oh God.
Yeah. Anyways, I genuinely think that we'll continue to have really thought-provoking and interesting discussions, and also entertaining ones, as you've like very eloquently laid out, in my opinion. And I think that, the other thing I would just say about the like next 100, or what I hope to continue to like do with it together with you, like, I think above all else, I want to continue to be able to produce content that comes out on such a regular basis, because of, like you said, like filling the air for people, giving people a sense of like, oh, someone else is talking about this in the way I am, and like I can relate to that. And above all else, I think it's really important to acknowledge that, like, and again, we've had a chance to go to conventions. I've gotten a chance to like do panels at these conventions. So many people in the TF community are never going to go to a convention for a variety of reasons, be it financial or like social anxiety or what have you. And conventions have always been like the pinnacle in terms of like my experience of getting to meet people and socialize and be in a space where I felt comfortable. And if I can provide even a fraction of that to people who don't get to do that through listening to this, then I feel like my job has been done. Because again, like, we get those really kind messages, which I really appreciate, makes my fucking day. But it also means the world, even when people don't say things. But if they're getting that kind of experience and they're just like taking that to heart, and it's like, oh, I feel like I'm not alone, like number one thing. So I want to continue to do that because
Yeah.
I think people like having this as potentially a way to feel less alone about this weird thing that they're into, even if they never say anything, if they're having that experience, I'm happy. And I don't need like vocal confirmation of that. I just want people to like, feel like they aren't alone and they're not like the only weirdo on the internet. And again, I'll remind you, like,
totally.
there's so many other things on the internet that are a bajillion, million, thousand times worse than just being into, wow, lady into donkey make pee-pee hard. Like, seriously, Jesus Christ, there's so many, like, actual bad things that people do on the internet. This is not one of them, broadly speaking.
I think that's the key thing. That's the key thing to take away. Actual harmful things. It's not necessarily harmful to just be into that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I already went through the shame of that, and there's some people who are still going through the shame of that. Some people very loudly doing so. You've seen some of that.
I have absolutely seen that. It's like, oh my God.
Yep. And it sucks to see people who are like as old as I am or older still wrestling with that so badly. So just come on, man. Have you seen the stuff that I make openly? And then I show these new artists who are just like, why do you paint that stuff? Or even just like artists who I'm just like, oh, hey, I think your work is really cool. And then suddenly they follow me and they didn't know me from a hole in the wall before. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I like your art. And I'm just like, really? Yeah. Okay. It doesn't have to be that hard. And also, I also want to say, for you and for anybody else, I'm glad that you are being more ambitious with the people that you want to get, specifically because I think of Lil Dicky.
Lil Dicky.
You know how Lil Dicky has done collabs.
Lil Dicky on a TFTuesday podcast. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
He did the Freaky Friday thing, which people would argue counts. Anyway, he has done collaborations with incredibly famous people. Like I was shocked when he got like Snoop Dogg to do a song with him. And then I was starting to wonder, like, damn, how did he get Snoop? And then somebody asked that question, like, dude, how do you, this like silly rapper guy, get these fucking legendary figures to come and how do you get these people, these legendary figures, to just come and make music with you? And the answer was they asked them. Yeah. They just dare to ask them, and they'll say yes sometimes. And that's all it really takes. The rejection from that sort of stuff is very is lower stakes than you think. Oh, absolutely. As long as you're not hedging something on it, you could totally ask someone for it. And if they say no, you move along because you weren't hinging things on them. But it's good to know that you can just ask, and they might say yes. Yeah. And that would be fucking awesome. Especially if they don't know your stuff, or maybe you're surprised and maybe they're aware of it. Yeah. I think it's good for everybody to be able to ask, especially even more because artists and creators of this community, like if they have more followers or if they're more famous or whatever the fuck, I've had people start to tell me that they were like nervous to talk to me, which, still feels strange no matter when anybody says it. But like, everybody's just a person, and don't put them on a pedestal, and don't deify them, don't dehumanize them, even if that's what you like. Don't do that. Yeah. They want to be treated like people. Yeah. And that's also what we've done with guests here, and that's part of the success. Is like the irony about all this is finding the humanity in each other. Truly. And that's also how community is formed, because regardless of anything, we're all humans, and we live with other humans, and we want other humans around us. That's how it works. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we've, as you so aptly put, the ironic thing is that on the TFTuesday podcast, we've hopefully taught people how to be more human, and I think that's deeply ironic and also very poignant in a way. I also just want to say, because I hadn't had a chance to say it yet on the episode, I want to give a particular shout out to Doran TF, because without Doran TF,
this show would have ended after 12 episodes. It's because of him that
Yeah.
we were able to continue on. Like that was the reason why I came back. It was because of his convincing me that like there's more to be done here and there's stuff we can still do. There is a universe somewhere, a parallel universe where everything after episode 12 didn't happen and it just stopped there. And there was just the one season.
That and Levi.
Yeah, Levi too. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, Levi, who was our first editor who came on and was, helping to edit the episodes at the time because I didn't know how the fuck to do it, or I didn't have the time. And, he came on and was doing it for free at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he got paid later, to be clear, like there was back pay, but the fact that, he was able to help us get the episodes produced, the fact that Doran convinced me that there was still like genuine stuff to do and like there were more things to be talked about and all that stuff. Without those two people, this podcast would never have come back. And I think it's really important that they're given their due as well, because I'm just so immensely grateful to them and to all of the positive things that have come from all these like later episodes. Any like good positive things that came out of them owe a debt to those two people as well. And it would be remiss not to mention them.
Yes.
Because genuinely, again, would not have happened. I'm just so immensely grateful for their support at that time and for motivating me to like, pick the torch back up and keep going with this.
Yep. Episode 100 would have been absolutely impossible without the both of them.
Yeah. So.
And, who knows? Who knows what the future holds with that? Maybe in the next 100 episodes they'll be involved again in some capacity. But right now it's just us two, and we're not necessarily. Have to thank Pessimist and Honey Bear, again for the arts. And Honey Bear also does us the service of making a few special things for us every now and again, which is wonderful and helps keep giving the show its identity and helping us give something fun for you guys to all enjoy.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm so thankful.
It's the community.
Yeah, no, that's the
people
community.
From the community.
Yeah, it takes a community to make this, and again, we wouldn't have anything to talk about without all of the amazing guests who have come on, all the guests who have not only come on but come on more than once, and the guests who have like helped us out at like the live episodes again, like Toledo, Days, Angerboda and Abe, Hornbuckle. Like these are all people who came on, and not only did they come on, but also came on in front of like a massive fucking audience. I don't take that shit for granted, and I am so thankful that they were willing to donate their time and help us in that way. And even like Steph too, and I'll also say, just like before I forget, like Hornbuckle did an amazing little drawing that a part of which is still the like icon on Patreon. So like shout out to him for like contributing that, and there's just Steph has been such a great support as well in terms of like coming on episodes and having ideas. I'm gonna forget people now that I should be mentioning, and I'm gonna feel bad.
I thought of something that I really think was also very important to say, because another big motivator for me was my server, and there are people in my server, regulars that would come and speak with me, like Raptonex or Raptonks. You said it was Raptonks. You fuckhead. And Exavi and and Nakase and like goddamn, who else? There are a bunch of people that would come on calls with me and just night after night after night, keeping me company. Yeah, Dante, TF Inferno. That's why.
Yeah.
He also was very helpful, because when we were trying to kick things back up, he had very valuable inputs along with his media training, and brilliant fucking guy.
Yeah.
There have been people just night after night in my own little slice of the internet that made me feel like this was worth doing, that I had something worth saying that they'd want to listen to or to have platformed, And, I, again, one more time, I have to thank you too for allowing me to do this kind of stuff. I didn't think I'd be that big a part of it. I wanted to be involved, and I didn't think it would be like this, but it's opening up my world, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and I'm thankful for you for agreeing to be like, my co-host and to like help so much on the back end too. Again, like so much of the like latest steps that we've made in terms of changing things up with the video editing and everything, they would not have happened if not for you. So like you have had a massive impact on the podcast as well, and I'm very grateful that you've come on.
Fucking teamwork, right?
Yeah, teamwork makes the
teamwork. Yeah, yeah. That's what we want.
And I will also say again, I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but I also want to shout out actually Kynick, because Kynick's let us continue to use the original logo even though he's no longer part of the podcast, and I'm very grateful for that because he didn't have to do that either. And I know he's like changed how he's like interacting with the community as well, but I genuinely appreciate the impact that he had and like has continued to have on the podcast as well. So I would be remiss not to mention that.
Then you know what? Thank you, Kynick.
Yeah. So
yeah,
just so many incredible people who have like been a part of this, especially all the patrons who again continue to support us. And yeah, I could spend hours talking about all the people I'm thankful for who have helped to make this this thing a reality. And I think again that speaks to the community aspect. There is a real community.
Yeah. So that's what we want to keep building. I can say that I know I say that there isn't a real community, but that's because it's been kind of hard to find. And then we are pleasantly surprised when people come along with their kindness and their knowledge and their effort. And I just want to make sure that it's not the exception anymore is what I'm looking to also help do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important to say.
So, and without exception, we do have audience questions, don't we?
We do have audience questions, which I am totally not just pulling out of our Discord server because we actually got a bunch and I forgot to put them in their own little thing. So anyways, we have so many. The first one I want to show it.
We'll get this better. We do this again, we'll do it better. It'll be all streamlined. Maybe we could put the fucking question on the board or something.
Yeah.
We'll do something.
We're doing it live.
Just like brand fucking new.
We're doing it live. I am just proud that we're able to fucking do it at all. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so we have a question from Bolis, who is I will say, and he might die a little bit, but he is very much our Poggy Woggy, Epic Fortnite, Family Guy, Funny Moments, Epic Gamer, PogChamp. So anyways, Bolus asks...
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I truly love him. Anyways, he asks, do you think people will ever run out of new TF triggers?
No. I mean, why not? Why not the TF trigger be exactly that right over there, where you got to input torture the data, and it's just how much data are you torturing, and then what if the data you start to torture is the information that exists within space itself, and then you start using that in order to reconfigure somebody's very existence? Why the fuck not?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think as the world continues to progress, there will just continue to be TF triggers, and you can make a TF trigger out of literally anything, which means the possibilities are limitless. So.
I look at things and I just keep thinking of ideas. There's a banana on the floor over there, and I just think, what if you peeled that banana, and as you peeled it and you attached an enchantment to it, so a person, you bonded it, you just peel the thing, and then slowly the skin comes off in a very plasticky sort of way, and the other form underneath starts to bulge out.
That would be that. I mean, that would fuck severely in my opinion.
And then the moment you throw away the bottom of the peel, you trip over and fall on your face or something like that, and then it's just whoops, new body.
Yeah.
You could do fucking anything.
Yeah.
How about you can get really grim. What if you bury someone alive and then they grow out of the ground and something new? They never really died, but they suffered like a horrible, horrible experience and just were forced into being something new. I could just keep thinking of things. Why the fuck would we run out?
Well,
unless you want to use AI to think of something for you. Hey, Chat GPT, can you think of something new and interesting for me? That's brilliant. I'm so glad I decided to look it up by inputting garbage into a fucking machine to think for me.
Oh my god.
By the way, the only thing that AI is good for, well, actually, no, there are a few things that it's good for, but specifically a very ethical way of using it is to write cover letters for you, because those things are a waste of time and energy, and if something else can do it, just fucking use it for that. It's a fucking scam to do cover letters. Anyway, do you think we'll run out of triggers?
No, as I said before, I don't think we will. I think the possibilities are limitless, so I'm just going to second that.
Endless possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I carry on. My time to shine's come. I feel it.
I have a question from Other Side, and he asks, what do you think the downsides would be of the TF fandom getting bigger or more mainstream or / more normalized?
The downside to that would be, number one, you will have insincere people who will try to create a formula to assert what people like, and then they will create their own slop. Just like there's YouTube slop content and everything like that. Yeah. That's because YouTube is a mainstream thing, and people have figured out, oh, these are the things that were the most popular. Let's do that, and let's reproduce it constantly. Because, in case people aren't aware, the success in fast food isn't necessarily good food. It's making sure that it's good enough, but to make sure it's the same experience every time if you can help it.
Yeah.
And that is that would be the problem with it going mainstream. The other thing about it going mainstream would be that there would be very noticeable like pushback. There would be arguments. There would be like all kinds of like the hate that you could find, that you could look for. That shit will become way more amplified. And since there are a lot of sensitive people, like very sensitive people, you may not be ready for that shit.
Probably not. No.
You know. And the last thing is, if you feel like there's too much of something right now, wait until they're like, oh yes, this is the most popular kind of TF, and they'll make 6 million of it, and then nobody wants to take a risk and not make the thing or go out of the thing or something, whatever. It's like that's the risk of it going mainstream. Yeah. If that's really how you want to look at it.
This isn't necessarily directly answering the question, but I want to just piggyback off that last thing you said for a second. There is a certain popular media franchise. I don't know what to call it. I'm going to keep it vague because I don't actually want people to make the connection here. But anyways, there's a very popular media franchise right now that has been yielding a lot of transformation content out of it that I am tangentially connected to. For unknown, unspecified reasons. And that has definitely wigged me out a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like to be on the other side of the looking glass when people get into transformation. I don't know how to feel about this. But to your point of it, like, as it gets more normalized, like, there may be, like, somewhat uncomfortable things that may arise out of that based on, like, personal connections to stuff. To which I say, like, is it a real downside? I don't know. But, like, at least personally, I'm like, oh, now I understand what people mean when they say, like, oh, something that, like, I put out into the world or, like, tangentially was related to something that was put out of the world. It's now, like, out of my control and being, like, used in very different ways from how I intended. That is a unique
the monkey's
feeling.
Paw wish.
Yes, it is literally the monkey's paw
wish.
The monkey paw's wish. So, yeah, I just want to second that. I also think, like, if I had to pick up another downside of it being normalized, I mean, in a way, this might sound like a little bit backhanded, but I swear I mean it genuinely. Like, it'll mean that, like, people who are, like, worried about, like, stuff like, I don't know, I'm going to pick on this, werewolf TFs or something. If like TF is getting more normalized and people are more normal about it, and you're like, oh, I'm nervous about talking about werewolf TF, I'll be like, bitch, what the fuck? I'm into upside down TF. You think that's going to be normalized anytime soon? I don't fucking think so. So, I guess what I mean to say is if you're into something that's quote unquote more normie and you still have anxiety about it, I feel like people will be more shitty about that towards you because they'll be like, you see what else people are into? Like, why are you like fucked up about this? And it's like, because everyone processes shame differently.
Smell your weakness.
Yes, they will. So I see
the vulnerability
potential
will be fun for them to pick at.
Yes.
I see lots of downsides, lots of them, because there's a lot of mainstream shit that, like, what's mainstream now that people have plenty of complaints about, but you have to go to certain places now to believe that shit isn't actually shit. It's fucking video games.
Oh yeah,
video games are super mainstream now, and look at it now. That's that, and if you've lived long enough, like I have, to see it go from like $60 cartridges to $120 early access, you actually get the full day game and then get to play it on time. Like, motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
Games used to be released complete. Like, that was the game.
That was the thing. Yeah.
And so that can happen to transformation.
Yeah.
Because especially if there's money to be made, that's part of what makes things mainstream is people put money into it.
So what I'm basically saying, or sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask, is it the hybrid thing? Is the Pokemon hybrid thing the mainstream thing that you said you have a tangential connection to?
No, it wasn't that actually, but that's an interesting observation. No, I don't think we'll talk about that offline. But anyways, what I mean to say, or the takeaway I was going to...
You will never know.
You will never know. You can bother me all you want. I'm not going to talk about it. The thing, sorry, I'm all mixed up now. The thing I was going to say is that at the end of the day, I genuinely would like it to at least be something that's more acceptable for people to talk about. Hence why I talk about normalizing. But that doesn't mean like becoming mainstream. Normalizing is different from mainstream. I think they're two very different things.
Yes.
You can have the goal of one and not the other. So, we'll see where things go. I will also say though, like transformation, because it has a lot of like connections for some folks towards like the not safe for work stuff, and that is very much against like the Puritan culture of like MasterCard and Visa. I don't ever think it's going to be quite the level of mainstream that people would worry about, just because they won't be things that could be like widely financially successful, which then, because of capitalism. So I think we'll be okay, at least on that front, but I think we can get to more normalizing without it being mainstream, and I'd like that.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah. All right, what's the next question?
All right, the next question we have is from... actually, it's another one from Other Side, but I think this one's interesting. So the question is, what do you desire from the TF fan base, and do you think you'll ever get it?
No.
You didn't even say what it is, though. You're just like, no.
Yeah. I'm not too... I think what I'm looking for now isn't so much approval from the fan base as much as I want to be noticed by other artists. I think that's what I really want. And
you don't have any desires from the fandom.
I have been hurt by the fans a lot. And it really hurts when something that I pour my heart into can be ignored, when it seems like something that is widely loved. It's like, so how come I didn't do it well? Versus, that, mind you, there are some things I spent a lot of time on that people like really fucking jive with, but, that too is an exception.
Yeah.
So getting it from the audience for me is not a healthy way of doing anything. So instead, I hope that maybe my artists and those peers will look my way. And hopefully I put a little less value in that, not so much because I want to ignore anything good that an artist might have to say about me, but because I really want to make sure that as long as I'm happy and if my friends are happy and if I'm trying to do something, I want to come first for me, because that's where the motivation needs to come from. Everybody can be fickle. Not every artist or peer is going to be on board with things I'm going to want to do. But yeah. And do I ever think I'll get it? No. And I think that's okay. because, I mean, I've gotten more accolades from people than I would have ever expected. I don't know if it'll ever feel like enough. I think with time, maybe it will.
Yeah.
But to get like more of it, it's like, nah. I'm not that kind of person. I don't make the cute stuff like that. I don't make like very colorful things. I don't make a bunch of characters for people to piggyback off of. I don't world build all the time. I don't have like a simple style that's easy to digest that I use all the time. I don't have the things that make an artist popular and widely loved, and that really fucking makes me feel bad if I let it, and I don't want it to do that to me anymore.
But you have the most important thing.
That's my reality.
You have the most important thing, which is a sparkling personality.
Thank you. That I didn't expect that at all.
No, genuinely, like,
well,
like I know that might come across as like facetious or being sarcastic, but genuinely, I mean that. So, like, I'm just saying.
Thanks. Thank you. It feels good. It just feels good when I can go on an artist stream who has 40,000 or 14,000 followers and be like, oh, hey, this is kind of fucked up or whatever, and then be like, oh yeah, cool. Show me your Twitter, and then they like give you a follow, even out of just a courtesy. Like, that's nice because you just gotta fucking talk to people.
Yeah,
it's good.
No, I agree.
Thank you for that. By the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think if there was anything I wanted to say, like, that I would still like from the fandom, honestly, I feel like I've gotten so much of what I would have wanted. So, like, I feel like anything else at this point is just gravy. I mean, I've made long-lasting friendships through the TF fandom with people who live like all over the world. That's fucking insane to me. I've gone to do panels at conventions and like all of these things. Like, again, I don't know if there's really much more I genuinely need or want. If I had to pick something, I would really like to see a convention someday that was focused on TF. And I think there's a decent shot that will happen. I would, if you told me, betting on yes versus no, I would bet on yes. So I think that will happen. That would be something I think that I would really like to see. And I'm obviously also willing to help out with that, get things off the ground. I'm good at organizing. But broadly speaking, I can only stretch myself in so many directions. What I mean to say is that would be the thing that I would like to still get out of the TF fandom. And I think that could eventually happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll add one more thing to that. The things that I have gotten are not the things that I've asked for, but they are even more valuable because I did make a lot of friends and connections, and I've had a lot of opportunities to work with and hang out with people that I otherwise wouldn't have. But again, those are the things I didn't ask for. I wanted to make sure that I said that in case people who know me that are listening understand that they don't have to be part of the things that I've been looking for. Just, they don't have to be part of those things because they're better than that. They're more than that to me.
Yeah. We had another question actually from Guppy. Which I think we kind of addressed, but I'm going to ask anyways because I think we could elaborate. So Guppy asks for us to come up or talk about the most unique TF trigger you have thought of or ever seen. And it could be, for example, the uniqueness came out of like taking a common TF trigger and like subverting it somehow.
Oh, man, I still can't remember the name of that instrument, that really large instrument that needs an entire room dedicated to it.
It's not the
it just looked like
right?
something's. It's not the hurdy-gurdy. It's like some string instrument that it's got very long strings and it's laid out in a very wide space.
Yes.
Yeah, and I couldn't find it, but when I saw it, it just looked like some mystical contraption. It made a very unique kind of sound, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to just like have somebody in the room and you pulled the chords the right way and just playing that instrument alone, just using that to alter someone's form, and I think that would be really fucking cool, and just like Yeah, I guess that's gonna be like in my head for a while. I
Mhm.
would also like to see like the whole G Gundam like ring thing, like
Oh yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
change somebody.
That would be
Like that
really
would be
fucking cool to
cool.
see.
I have an unfinished painting where I was doing something like that,
Mhm.
but actually an unfinished painting and an unfinished sequence. I have both of those things for with that idea, but that's something that I would still want to do. Not the ring stuff that became popular, something that has like way
Yeah.
more like sensation and like more tactile, that kind of thing, because that's
Do,
what I like.
do, do,
What
do,
about you?
do you mean sensational TF? Is that what you're talking about? I heard that's like a kind of
There
TF.
are sensations.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't want to mention the other sensations that come along with that. Certainly that has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, definitely. That's like,
I know we mentioned Osamu Tezuka and everything like that, and we very deeply dove into the
yeah.
subjects, but I'm not gonna get into more of the sensational
Yeah.
stuff because the
Fair
sensational is
enough.
really just there. It's just there for flash. It means nothing
It
ever.
does mean nothing. You're right. It does mean nothing. So, yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, to answer your question, most unique TF trigger I can think of or like have come up with. I mean, I a lot of the TF triggers that I like fall back upon end up being related to wordplay. And I feel like I've had some pretty like ridiculous stretches in terms of like someone saying something and that leading to like a TF down the line in like the captions for some of my pieces. Honestly, because I just like I get to like the posting of the piece and I'm like, man, I don't fucking know. I just did the picture. I didn't even think about a story or whatever the fuck. And now I feel like I should write something. So I think like if we're talking about like one that like I came up with, there's probably like some unhinged one about like, oh, I said something in passing and now I'm transforming because someone heard it and was like, oh, well, I'll show you. But like in terms of like most unique ones that I've like or triggers that I've seen. I think I'll mention a commission that I got from Bintrong Boss. Shout out to Bintrong Boss, absolute queen. There was a commission that I got of myself getting TF'd into like one of those like little artist mannequin dolls that like you have like on your
Hmm.
desk to like pose and like look as a reference picture. And like the trigger was basically just like being manipulated by someone else's hands to like go into that position basically. And I think that's pretty fucking unique and cool. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, I would say that would probably be it. I can't think of like the exact wording I used in any of the ones I posted, but I'd say that would probably be the one.
That's fine. Wait, did I ever tell you about Yu Yu Hakusho?
I don't think you did.
Yu Yu Hakusho has a battle with a demon who has the ability to change your body by speaking certain ways and using certain words.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally shrinks one of the characters down to like a lethally small size, and he becomes like a towering giant. And it's like, yeah, because with the right sort of sounds and whatever, you can like alter the body through like the brain's interpretation of whatever the fuck. And it was this fucking wild idea, but I never forgot it. So the fact
Yeah.
that you was just saying that, something you said down the line will change you, it's been touched on in a way.
Yeah. And I fuck with that. I think that fucks your honor. So
Also, a mention to a trigger that I enjoyed. Griff painted this very hot couple turning into dragons, right? And and I forget if it's one or both of them, but they're touching a crystal. And in the caption it says like, to stop the changes, all they have to do is stop touching the crystal. It's like, but they're both fucking and holding on to it at the same time and turning. So I'm just like, I like that.
they're not letting
That
go.
shows the want for it.
They're not
Yeah.
letting go.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it was funny though when you started off by like saying like, "Oh, a couple is a beautiful piece about a couple transforming." I literally in my head, I was like, "Do you know how little that narrows it down?" But and then you specified. So, anyways, just we love Griff in this house. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. We have one last question I want to make sure we get to, and it comes from Lee. Oh my God, I'm going to try again. Leaf Wine. That's how you're supposed to say it. He did tell me how to say it. Anyways, so this comes from Leaf Wine. And so the question is summer themed because, we're in summer. So you stumble across a new brand of ice cream that as you consume it, TFs you into whatever is currently striking your fancy. What do you think the flavor would be, and would you stock up on it? And then there's also addition. If you had to add an additional flavor to become a hybrid, what would you add?
Oh, okay. First of all, it'd be Thai iced tea flavored.
I support this.
Thai iced tea ice cream is fucking delicious. I can get some at Death in Venice. Amazing ice cream shop.
Yeah, very good
Nothing
ice cream
like
shop.
it.
Nothing anywhere else.
If I wanted to, hybridize, what would I add? You know what? I am one of those weirdos who likes vanilla ice cream, so sure. That's what I would do. If I wanted to hybridize, I'd add vanilla ice cream.
And what would it turn you into, like, theoretically?
I mean, it would be like whatever strikes my fancy at the time.
Yes.
So that would really depend. It could be anything from, Sona there, or like maybe the beast form of it. But if I have that form or the other one, I could theoretically become either one. Mm-hmm. Or like, I don't know, sometimes I got the horse mood. Sometimes I have sometimes I have like other monster moods. What if I've been like talking with somebody and they're like, oh, that would be fun. And then I think so. Fucking Minotaur.
Minotaur would be good. I do like Minotaur.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. What about you?
I think my go-to is and always has been mint chocolate chip because that's my favorite ice cream flavor. I do also like vanilla as well. I think if I had to pick a second flavor, though, I would either pick strawberry or pistachio, but like vanilla is like a solid choice too. I think like the mint chocolate chip, if we're talking about what currently is striking my fancy, in a very dark, ironic twist, I think the mint chocolate chip right now would turn me into Shadow, which I actually don't have the avatar of, so I can't like do that little trick. But if it wasn't that, it might actually be a snow leopard. So hey, here we go. If I had to hybridize, though, I don't know if I would want to hybridize those two. I think if I had to like pick a hybrid, I'd probably do something like Lombax and I don't know, like Fox or something. I feel like there's like some interesting like combinations you could do there. And I'm totally not biased given that I have one as a Sona and one as a character, but
Okay, I think it would be fun. Wait, I think it would be funny if you were to mix a Lombax with Shadow, because I think putting those styles together would give you something close to what movie Shadow is probably going to look like.
I do like that. That would be very fun. So what I'm saying is, Warner Brothers, call me. I'm just saying.
Yep, he wants to be something cool.
Yes.
Make a new Ratchet and Clank movie.
Please. I would like a Ratchet and Clank movie, so a better one. I enjoyed the one that came out, to be clear. I'm just thankful if we got anything at all. But Awesome. Well, that was all the questions I had. I don't know if we had any other parting thoughts. I feel like we kind of gave a summary already, but I don't know, any last stray thoughts?
Yeah, we asked each other. No, that's it. Next 100 episodes are going to show how much we care about this and, what this is really going to mean for us. Boy, it's so much has happened. It feels like we've been doing the show for longer.
It really
so
does.
Like another year of making this is going to be educational, to say the least.
Oh yeah, it's going to be
and it's going to be eye-opening.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, honestly. And again, I'll say, like, at the end of the day, there is so much more to still explore, and I'm just like looking forward to everything that we'll learn along the way, and all the conversations we're going to start, all the people we're going to get to talk to, all the live episodes that we're going to get to do. Again, as I said, earlier on, but I'll be at AnthrCon doing a live with Angerboda and ABCD again. So like, if you're going to be at AnthrCon, that's something to look forward to. We can plan to continue to do more. I am sure we're going to get Libra at an MFF or an AC sometime in the near future, so you'll get both of us. Like, we got so much to go. Yeah. We got so much to still do, and I'm looking forward to what the future has.
Yeah, me too. And a special thing that has been put together in lieu of 100 episodes. Well, in the wake of them. I don't think I even used that word correctly. Anyway, because of this episode, we have some very insightful, kind things that a few of our past guests have decided to come on and say. So we're playing those for everybody to listen to.
Yeah.
And, thanks to everybody for what you've had to say. It's extremely touching. And it further motivates me to keep being involved in this. Motivates both of us.
Yeah. No, it absolutely does.
Because, again, you took the time and the thought, and it's deeply appreciated.
Yeah.
Who knows how many or whichever many of you may be back on, but know that it matters. And the things that you do matters. Yeah, whether you're on this show with a platform or whether you're doing your own thing, your actions and your thoughts have, well, not necessarily thoughts, but your actions have effects on other people.
Yeah.
Just remember that in case you ever feel like maybe stuff that you do doesn't matter. It does.
Yeah.
It matters to us, and it matters to your other close friends and loved ones.
Hi, everyone. Today we're celebrating a very special milestone. It's our 100th episode. And to help us with our celebration, we've had a number of our past guests share their thoughts on what the TFTuesday podcast means to them and what their experiences were like coming on the podcast. So without further ado, we have a selection of them at the top and some more towards the end as well for you to listen. I hope that you enjoy hearing from them as much as we did getting the messages.
Hey, it's ABCD.
And I'm Angerboda.
And we both wanted to congratulate the TFTuesday podcast crew on their 100th episode.
Yay!
Hey, congrats, sweet! That is so many episodes. That is an almost unbelievable amount of episodes to manage to get through, so huge credit for you for so consistently putting them out week after week. We had a ton of fun recording our episodes, and it's been really cool to hear all the different conversations everyone else has been having too. It's interesting to hear so many people have so many different ways to talk about the same topic, but there's been so many pieces of overlap as well.
Happy 100 episodes!
Here's to at least 100 more, and I hope we'll see you all again at AC this July.
Hello, this is Antiques. I would like to congratulate the crew of the Transformation Tuesday podcast on their 100th episode. They have done tremendous work, not just in scheduling interviews with various content creators and fans of Transformation, but also producing, editing, and all the other tasks involved in podcasting, which is not an easy thing to do consistently, along with maintaining a personal life. I also want to thank the listeners of this podcast. Your love and feedback fuel the desire to keep this podcast going. Like many before and after me, it was an honor to talk about transformation and its impact on us personally, socially, and spiritually. Everyone's views and desires about transformation differ. And that's one of the best things about this fandom. We all have unique perspectives on this subject, and there is no set way to embrace transformation. Transformation is a unique scene. Some might have become interested after watching a werewolf film. Others may be wondering what it's like to be transitioned from one gender to another, or even imagining to becoming a pool toy to be used by others. Just as we come from different states and countries, we all arrive here from different avenues. I would like to impart one bit of advice. Do not gatekeep. Please silence yourself and listen to others, allowing others to have a voice. Not everyone follows the same path, and there is no perfect route to take to get here. It takes courage to admit one's interests, finding them arousing at times, and reaching out to communicate with others with similar passion. They want to be heard, they want someone to listen, and ultimately, they want to be validated. So listen, understand what drives them, and provide recommendations like, hey, maybe this movie might be interesting to you because you like this. I'm just a small part of a growing community, but I ask that we all take the time to listen and get to know people without making assumptions based on past experiences. Once again, I would like to thank the Transformation Tuesday podcast for their time and effort in keeping this series going, and I wish them nothing but the best moving forward. This is Antifreeze once again, and thanks for the chat.
Hey y'all, Arania here, and I wanted to take the time to wish you all, the TFTuesday Podcast, both listeners and creators alike, a very happy 100 episodes. I think that you are doing really incredible work with bringing the community together, giving voices to the creators, and really helping audiences connect with those people who are creating the sorts of materials that inspire us. Libra, Zil, it was really great getting to know you. I really enjoyed doing the interview with you guys just about a week or two ago. You had some fantastic questions, really let me express the sorts of influences that led me to be the transformation artist that I am today. I hope that you guys have another 100, 200, 300 episodes to go, and let me know if you ever want to do anything again. All the best. Thanks again so much for everything you guys are doing for the community.
Hey everybody, this is Avelican. I just wanted to say that I really appreciated being invited to the TFTuesday podcast. I think it's a great way for people from all over the community to talk about their experiences, their takes, their interests, and just all around how they feel like they belong within the community. It's really nice to see the podcast, which started as just a small endeavor, grow into something that has invited so many people across the community and to explain what the TF community means to them. It's been a great time talking how the TF community impacts me and my work and how I can give back to the community. I think this is a really great thing that we have here. My experience coming on was really smooth. I couldn't ask for anything better. We had some technical issues, I recall, back at the very beginning, but everything was smoothened out and straightened out, so in the end, it was a fantastic episode, if I do say so myself, but I might be a bit biased. Here's to another 100 episode of the TFTuesday podcast. Can't wait to see who else gets invited next.
Hi, I'm Cobalt Chimera. Being a guest on the TFTuesday podcast was a treat. Only a podcast like this affords a niche comic creator like me a way to discuss my work with the detail and depth that fans are interested in. Zil and Libra have cultivated a chill, open-minded forum where it feels safe to geek out. They prepare thoughtful questions that lead to rich conversations on mic, and they encourage guests to introduce topics of personal significance, all of which brings out engaging discussions with a different flavor each time. I think that's a big reason why we're still listening to the podcast after 100 episodes.
Hey, this is Elephant Bro. I just wanted to say congrats to the TFTuesday podcast for hitting their 100th episode. That's a really big milestone, and everyone should be so proud of what they've been able to create with this podcast. It's really, really enjoyable to listen to on long drives. I enjoyed coming on last year to discuss Blueberry TF. I think that we had a really good conversation that, about that, and also just tropes in TF fiction and how I approach writing TF stories. And I absolutely would 100% come on again to discuss anything like that or other topics. So again, just congratulations to everyone, and here's to another 100 episodes. Good job, guys.
Hi, this is Gabriel Moon, and I just want to give a huge shout out to the TFTuesday podcast for reaching 100 episodes. The work you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. I'm extremely thankful for the few times that I've been on as a guest. They were all really amazing experiences, being able to talk about my own work and some other TF-related topics that I not only delve in, but that I've been able to put some interesting input in. Just talking to Zil and Libra has been just really great. Led to meeting them IRL, just hanging out with them. They're really, really chill people. I also really appreciate meeting some fans who found out about my work through the TFTuesday podcast. That has been absolutely wonderful. I also really appreciate the podcast as a whole. I think that having a variety of guests on within the community, especially some that I've admired for years. Hearing their perspectives about their work has been absolutely wonderful. And some of the topics have really got me to think about some facets of TF that I hadn't really thought about before, put things into a perspective that I can really kind of vibe with. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for their hard work, and here's to 100 more.
Hey you all, good to be here. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and happy 100th episode for the TFTuesday podcast. It's really cool that you're getting a lot of support to get over this big number, because 100 is a very big number to think about. And well, I just want to let you know that what you're doing here is very important. It's very, very important. You're doing one of the best things a digital community could have, which is having an open space to share thoughts, opinions, and more. And you are giving this opportunity to artists, which is again very important, because usually artists just post or share their art, but they don't really share what they think about it. And well, you're giving this opportunity, which is important, very, very important, especially because the way you're doing it, you are posting it online, and everyone that speaks English can consume these 100 episodes that are a lot. And that's again important because at least US and other countries that have like a stronger furry culture, there are cons where people can go and gather physically and talk about their niche interests. But in countries that doesn't have strong furry culture like mine, Ecuador, cons really don't exist here, furry cons at least. And I cannot share my thoughts over what I like, which is kind of frustrating to me. But here you are, you have given me the opportunity to talk about what I think over my own art, and to also consume, to learn what other people think about. And that has helped me a lot to figure out more about TF art and learn more, and also expand my way of consuming it, which is very cool. Also, you have helped me to understand more about my very own art, also myself, and you have actually inspired me to work the theme of transformations on my final thesis for my university. So I really want to thank you all for that. Zil, Libra, muchas gracias, se los agradezco muchísimo. Ustedes están haciendo un trabajo maravilloso con este podcast. Ojalá tengan 100 episodios más y más. Y bueno, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and bye.
Hi there, this is Honeybear. I've been a guest of the TFTuesday podcast a handful of times since season 2, and generally had a wonderful time getting to talk about a rainbow of different topics with a bunch of people I hold very close. In celebration of the 100th episode, I wanted to say a few things directly to Zil and K-Libra. In all seriousness, you are both incredibly hard-working, passionate people, and it's been great to see this project continue to flourish. I'm excited to see the heights you will climb as you both continue to flex your creative skills. Here's to many more.
Hey, I'm Postal Roo. The K is silent, because it's non-existent. To me, TFTuesday Podcast is a fun, bumpy ride. I've been headfirst at the edge of my seat since its chaotic first season. I was lucky enough to flip into a warm interview chair for a chat with Zil in the interlude season. And now I leave cheeky questions at the show's end here and there. But, on the flip side, one of the big takeaways I get from this podcast is the sense of community in the TF community. Most times it's hidden, but it's there, and the podcast helps bring that out. Each voice, each conversation, each struggle, each success. There's a story there, and it's uniquely creative and personal. Most guests are soft-spoken, unable to talk aloud about this thing they like, uncomfortable in their own skin, but the creative voice is always there. Unfortunately, transformation is a misunderstood community, a fetish for reformation, a bodily form of escapism, a niche trapped within a louder, hairier niche. It's hard to find familiars in TF space. It's a tiny melting pot of weird, wide-eyed thinkers, commissioners, writers, artists, whatever they want to be today. TF Tuesday Podcast reminds us that it is a community of enthusiasts, and it's very easy to lose sight of them. The veil of the internet often hides the vision behind the lewd image, the voice behind the raunchier words, and, well, you know that animation that will never get monetized? You know the one? That one that you're thinking of right now? Right now? That one will never get monetized. Yet, despite the shifting forms and unfamiliar figures, there once was and occasionally is a real person behind each piece of creative media. TF Tuesday Podcast comes back each week as a testament to that. And Zil and K-Libra and the whole team does an excellent job at finding guests, finding topics, and keeping that spirit going. So, congratulations, and thank you for 100 episodes. Here's to the next 100,000 and a half.
Hey, this is Pythos Cheetah. I just wanted to thank the podcast for having me on as a guest last year. I know that my art style is a niche interest in an already niche community, so it was really nice to actually get a chance to talk about my art and my interests with some like-minded individuals. I did have a great time on the podcast, and I've continued to enjoy being part of the podcast's broader community on Discord. So congratulations on 100 episodes, and hopefully there'll be another 100 more to come.
Hey, this is Toledo, several-time guest on the podcast. I want to ask Zil and K-Libra and everyone else who has contributed. It's been really nice to have a space to chat about art, chat about inspiration, and chat about kind of what all these things say about the human or not so human condition, what we can learn from them, how they enlighten us, and how they're also fun at the same time. Thanks so much for your work, and I look forward to many episodes in the future.
Hey, it's Ziz. Just wanted to say thank you guys, Zil, K-Libra, for having me on the podcast. The podcast means so much for us TF enthusiasts. We pretty much have a spot where we can talk about like-minded ideas and, fantasize over our TF-ness, as it were. But thank you for having me aboard, and it's been really cool seeing other TF enthusiasts and like-minded artists out there spreading the good word.
I feel like you said everything we could have said. So, yeah, I, again, appreciate everyone for listening and supporting us, and are looking forward to more episodes. But in the meantime, this is the end of the season, but we'll be back for season 6 sometime in July. So in the meantime, use that time to go through some of the backlog if you are, missing our content or you haven't watched all of them. I mean, it's a lot, so I wouldn't blame you if you haven't. But yeah, in the meantime, I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. I hope that you all TF into pool toys, obviously. We love that inanimate TF. But more importantly, I hope that you all continue to keep an open mind and stay TFE. And we'll see you back again next season.
And remember, the darkness isn't as bad when you have a big glowing emerald near you.
That's true. Bye for now, everyone. Awesome. Well, I think